This is Lizzie from Let Zoe Spoil You.
And Sagira from Sagira Salutes You. And together, we are Newbie versus Weeaboo. Sagira, Newbie.
Lizzie, a Weeaboo.
It's Newbie versus Weeaboo. Ahoy, hoy.
Heidi, hi.
Hello. This weather's crazy. Whoa.
I know.
Don't really have much to say to this opening, but yes, the weather's been crazy.
It's been storms aplenty. Nothing but rain. I mean, first it got up to like, I'm so hot, I'm going to die. And then it went into have a thunderstorm and some more thunderstorm and rain. Let's wash you away.
Storms are brewing, but nothing near as stormy as our current anime that we're watching, which is Parasyte. And this is the first anime that we reviewed that I haven't had to practice the title.
Yes,
straightforward.
You could just say Parasyte, yes. Because before it came out, I knew it as Kisejo, which is the Japanese. But it's like, at least but in Japanese, even the mangas say Parasyte on them, which is pronounced Kiseju. So it's like, it's nice that it's just come out as Parasyte, because otherwise you'd be having to pronounce some weird Japanese word.
Oh, I'll just be going over to you, Lizzie, for the title of this. I'm not doing it. I'm not insulting a whole race of people with my bad enunciation.
It's not like mine's much better, really. I've just practiced it a bit more.
Well, we are up to episode 3, which is called Symposium. Now, I know it's called Symposium, but when I read it, I'm like, Symposium? Eum? Oh, Symposium! So I've had to read it several... I know it says Symposium. I don't know what it is. My brain was just like, no, this is an impossible word that you've never heard of.
I think it's one of those words that I don't think I've ever seen written down. So I'm like, I wonder how... I'm too dyslexic to work out how to spell Symposium.
Well, this one opens on a very crowded train, which made me go, no, you're all too close together. Because with the whole coronavirus thing, you start to forget that these things were made well before this happened, like sitcoms and stuff. You're watching, like, stop touching each other. So I got very flustered watching everyone on the crowded train. And we hear a calm yet outraged woman calling out a man for groping her derriere. Clearly, this person hasn't been on a train before because, people are touching each other left, right, and centre. Not necessarily on purpose, but it happens.
No. Train groping is an actual phenomenon that got so bad in Japan that they've got women-only carriages.
Whoa.
It's an actual really big problem. I made a mistake when I said the manga was set in the 80s. I meant the 90s. So it's set in the 90s, and it's the height of the lost decade, which, if anyone knows me, is my favourite piece of modern Japanese kind of like history, because that's when everything went a bit tits up. But yeah, train groping, massive problem. People would try and do it all the time, so they started having women-only carriages, which still exist now, so that women could travel in safety without the continuous threat of being groped on public transport.
Can we just clarify your favourite, as in it's not like the best thing you've ever heard? It's more like it's more interesting.
Oh God, yes, sorry, one of the worst periods of Japanese history. Yeah, no, I'm absolutely fascinated with the Lost Decade, which ran 1991 to 2005, framed by the collapse of the economic bubble and the sarin gas attacks, because it was when Japan went through, I don't know why I said Japan like that, it's when Japan went through a whole kind of revolution, and the gap between youth and adults started changing, and there was so much social commentary, so much social change, and this anime is steeped in kind of the values of that time and some of the social problems that were going on during that time. And I find the Lost Decade absolutely fascinating. Youth cultures, the music scene, the new wave of anime that worked as social commentary. It's also the 90s was when I got into anime, so it's also kind of like, just love it.
Good. Just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah.
It came across like it was such a great time, and it clearly wasn't.
No, it wasn't. It was not. It was the rise of dissatisfied youth culture.
He was groping her, and she throws him off the train. Not just randomly, it was stopped. Okay. But she throws him off. And this indicates to us that she's not normal.
No.
She is not a normal person. And also she has an air about her that screams paranormal. So we kind of get the idea that she's a parasite. However, she has more control over herself than the previous parasites that we have seen. She seems to be able to control her eyes for a start.
Yes!
Face the correct direction. And she just has this air and grace about her. So Yes, this parasite seems to be a little bit more advanced than the other ones. Also, I was having to think about it the other night, and I was saying like spores from space. However, this may not be a space thing. This could be like a kind of lab thing where it's been made, it's man-made, and it's been released into the world, and it's like, oh no, because obviously like Corona had a big question mark over it of where it actually came from. So that got me thinking about this, and I'm like, maybe they're not from space. Maybe it's something that they want us to think by looking up in the sky and a spore coming down. However, it could just be wafting from a lab.
Yes. It's like a form of population control, like when you release a hawk into a population of pigeons because there's too many pigeons.
Exactly. So, yeah, so that crossed my mind last night. So I'm now having an open mind of maybe not an alien, maybe literally a parasite that has been created. Just throwing that out there early. Just FYI, we can hear you crunching whatever you're crunching. There's something crunching that you're in.
Oh, it's my fidget toy. I've been really fidgety, so I've been trying to control my hands. But obviously, my fidget toy is now noisy. So I don't know what we're going to hear next. So I'm going to fidget with my hairband and hope it's less noisy.
It's because you need something shaft. You need like a ball or something.
Yeah.
I know it's get you for your birthday.
A soft fidget toy.
Intro! I can't do the intro. It's still not on my mind.
Something like that.
Very long those lines. At Shinichi's house, he's talking to his parents about a guy who won an award on his paper for talking to reptiles. Now, Shinichi thinks this is silly, but this is quite a good joke in terms of the sub because he's basically talking to a snake because that's what he called Miggy in the first place. He said it's a snake. So he's technically talking to a reptile. So he's kind of taking the mickey out of himself. However, that joke does not work in dub.
No, it doesn't because it was worm. And it's like, no, that's...
Not a worm, it's a snake. It's a booger. They move on to talking about the mincemeat murders. And we now know that there is 84 deaths. Is that just in Japan? I can't remember. Was that just Japan?
No,
or
I
the
think
whole
it's worldwide.
It isn't too awful. I mean, like, you know, if you consider the population of the Earth, it's not the biggest of numbers. Not that is,
but it's still weird that many people have died in exactly the same way around the world.
I totally get that. No, I totally get that.
But it's
at
not
the same time, and you know,
considering the climate we're currently living in, it's not as shocking as what we're living through now.
Yeah. Shinichi meets with Murano to walk to school, but Miggy senses another parasite in the area. Shinichi informs us that no meat murders have happened, so this is a bit like confusing, like, but nothing's happened. But then Miggy wakes him up and goes, not that we know of.
Yeah,
they
thanks,
could
Miggy.
be getting smarter. Like, you know, they could be hiding them now. So that's now like, oh no, they've evolved. They've, I mean, we don't know. There might be none, or they might, like I said, they might have just evolved into being more secretive, as we find out. The call is coming from inside the school.
Dun, dun, dun.
It's sensing that someone in the school is a parasite. So now he's like, is it a child? Is it a teacher? Is it a boy? Is it a girl? Who could it be? Miggy says, it's a teacher. It's her. And it goes over to the woman that we saw on the train earlier. It's like, she's in the school. What's happening? We then find out that her name is Miss Tamiya, and she is going to be a teacher at the school, and it's going to be Shinichi's teacher.
Well, it's going to be he's the maths teacher for the school, so she'll have lots of children, but she's the homeroom teacher for his kind of girlfriends. Yeah,
Murano, because he says that's Murano's room.
Yeah,
which was what confused me because he said it's Murano's room, which when it indicates her teacher, but then later on we see her teaching him, so it's like, what?
Well, no, because they say. She's the maths teacher. She's come on to replace the maths teacher that was mysteriously hit by a car, but is also working as a homeroom teacher.
Miggy says not to make eye contact, but of course, when you tell someone not to look at something, what do?
Yeah.
Curiosity completely takes over. You're like, I must look. And then weird stuff happens.
He feels her aura, that intense, like, I'm looking at you. Oh dear, that's evil.
Well, it doesn't help with the whole wide eyes and hair blowing in the wind and the red, like radiating out of her. So.
Yeah, she's got a menacing aura.
Very much so. She's very pretty, though.
Yes, she is.
Well, the gym cheater.
I thought you said where the kimchi.
Where the gym teacher rattles on. Miggy talks to Shinichi about the new teacher. Of course they do. They've got a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
He says she seems to be in control, so not yet detected. And as she composes a teacher, she is gifted. So she is clever enough to pass as a teacher who's knowledgeable and is put together and organized. And that's not what we've seen so far.
No.
Other than Miggy, who's kind of there but still learning.
Yeah.
This Parasyte has seemed to got there quicker.
Yes, so the other ones seem to be living on pure instinct, but she seems to be able to slightly be like, wait a minute, there's more to this if I want to pass in human society.
Shinichi is worried that she will eat people in the school. But as Miggy points out, she wants to fit in and therefore will not eat people in her immediate social circle, which makes sense.
Yeah.
There's no point eating at home. Might as well get a takeaway if you can. In class, she makes contact with Shinji and asks for a meeting with him.
Shinichi.
Oh, I was reading about him earlier as well, so probably in my mind. In class, she makes contact with Shinichi and asks for a meeting with him later. The other kids speculate, why would she want to meet with him? All the boys are jealous, going, well, why would she like you? Meh. And then we find that there's another girl in the class who likes Shinichi as well. So Shinichi seems to be like the guy, you know, he's one of the popular kids. And it's kind of nice because normally like the popular kids are jocks and sporty and all that because that's your stereotypical hottie. But he's a bit nerdy, Shinichi, but
it's
mature.
A bit different in Japan. It's not the jocks. That is like, you want the ones that are going to make a good husband, and the ones that make a good husbands are the ones that have got potential to provide. So it's the smart, capable ones that are a little bit more mature and put together.
Which is right, really.
Yeah.
That's what you should be going for. On the way to the office, Miggy pipes in, and it's awake for the meeting because Miggy has been asleep this whole time so that he could get on with his schoolwork. Miss Tamiya acknowledges that Shinichi knows what she is and vice versa. She reassures him she means no harm, which is kind of hard to believe when she's so intimidating.
I mean, she's got a stare on her and a presence that's just like, it's like, I don't.
But that's the thing, she's intelligent. It's like, that's not good. These things eat people and she's clever. So that's not a great combination in this situation. She asks to meet after school, which Miggy agrees to, but Shinichi is against it and doesn't trust her, obviously. She wants to find out more about their unique situation because, as we've seen so far, all the other parasites have seemed to have made it to the brain, whether it's human or dog. But this is a hand, so it's very unusual for your hand to be talking to you. She wants to exchange info for more data, and she implies they have a future which is mysterious. Like, I'm saying it's mysterious, not them. But like, she's like, we have a future together. And it's like, really? What? Sorry, cat's barged in.
I can see just her tail coming in.
Hello. Don't touch anything. Don't moan at me.
She tells you off.
It does tell me off. Right, you sit here. This is your spot. After school, Shinichi waits to meet Miss Tamiya. And it's in a hotel restaurant, I guess.
Yeah.
It looks hotel-y, but not too restaurant-y. Miggy informs him there are 2 of his species approaching, so she's brought someone with her. Miggy asks for Shinichi to calm down as his heart rate is like making Miggy anxious.
Yeah.
So, everything that he feels, she. I keep calling Miggy a she because of the voice. They both feel the same thing. So Miggy wants to be calm and knowledgeable and focused. But if Shinichi is panicking, then Miggy's going to panic, even though Miggy doesn't feel emotion. You're going on the floor. Sorry. Miss Tamiya arrives with Mr. A.
Uh-huh.
He does not deserve a name.
I know. But also such a handsome catch with his eyes. And it's just like, just look in the right direction, dude. Just please. I don't know why it bothers me so much, but it really does. I'm just like, just put your eyes together.
Focus, man. Clearly not as developed as Miss Tamiya, as I've written here, nor Miggy. He and Miggy want to fight. No. Oh, phew. She knocks her on the floor. Right, no, you're going out. No! What's in your mouth? No!
Oh, God.
What is in your mouth? What did you do? Right, out.
Just.
Say bye-bye to Lizzie. Bye-bye.
Bye, Luna. Cause chaos somewhere else.
Out you go. I love you, but no. Right, I'm going to go back. He and Miggy want to fight, but Tamia stops it. She knows that this will cause attention.
Yeah.
Unwanted attention to the fact that they're there. And then people will know, oh, there's alien type things around the area. Let's look for more of those. So just stop, you undeveloped fools. They sit to chat and find Shinichi has only encountered 2 types of parasite. Now, only 2 types. So there's way more.
You have to wait and see. You know, there's an entire series ahead of you.
I know, but like they're saying only 2. Like, it's, so what? There's 10, 20, 100. This is like not good. Like, what could be going through Shinichi's mind at this point?
Like, uh-oh. And they all seem, so far, most of them have the instinct of like, I fight you, because they think Miggy and him is a bit of a mistake, and they don't like a human and knowing about them. So its instincts are like, I fight you now.
Tamia asks what Shinichi thinks they are, and he says, man-eating monsters. That's kind of what you would call them. Tamia informs them that she and Mr. A had sex and now she's pregnant. Well, that just throws a whole new spanner into the works, doesn't it? You've just found out that these things have come to the planet or have come to Earth, whatever, and they're taking over bodies, eating each other, and now they're procreating.
Yeah.
Like, Shinichi's mind must be exploding
I know.
At this point.
It's episode 3, and he's just like, what the hell? Oh God, too much going on.
Miggy senses it is a human baby growing inside, so another what the hell. And then Tamia senses that as well. So they all have agreed this is a human baby.
Yes, which makes
sense.
Asks,
yeah, it does make sense because they've only taken over the brain; they haven't taken over the reproductive system.
Yeah.
So, yeah. She asks Shinichi that if they have produced a human baby, then what does that make them? So now are they human because they can produce a human baby, or are they still parasites because they have the mind of a parasite? Like, I'm going to stick with parasite because no human can do that to their head.
Yes, but again, it's that question of what does it mean to be human?
I was going to say not eating people, but there are people out there
exactly
who do eat each other.
Yeah, it's that whole thing of like what makes you human, and like a lot of the emphasis is on your emotions and your ability to think morally and ethically defines how much humanity you have. So the parasites seem to be without humanity, therefore not human. But if they can conceive a child, they've got to have some ethical or moral obligations to that child, which makes them a little bit closer to humans, because there's a lot of humans that procreate and don't really do very well to their children. It's the whole wonderful moral ethic grey area that the series loves to live in.
Shinichi sticks with his guns, saying that they eat humans to stay alive and therefore they are cannibals. Miggy says that he gets nutrients directly through Shinichi's blood. So he doesn't need to eat people because he gets it but that's why lots of bodies or skin seems to be left behind, I feel.
Yeah.
It's like because like I said, it's the mincemeat murders. So they're going for the innards of the person and then just leaving this
the nutrient-rich parts of the person.
Which kind of makes them more like vampires.
Yeah.
They're going after the blood rather than the
blood,
flesh.
I think they're eating kidneys and livers, aren't they? And brains, probably.
So they're eating the organs. They're not eating the actual flesh. That's why they...
Yeah, although some of them just go chomp and eat other people. Because obviously that one at the beginning just chopped his wife's head off and went, yum, eating your whole face.
Yeah. Which probably going for the brain. I
guess.
We need to learn more.
Yes.
As Miggy stays alive this way, he doesn't understand why others need to be cannibals. So he's like, hey, we eat the food that they eat, basically, because the nutrients comes from their food and it goes in their bloodstream, and then we live off it. So why can't you do that? Tamia says their species cannot reproduce, which is interesting because she's just reproduced, and actively engage in pseudo-cannibalism. And they are stumped. They're like, we don't know what we are. We can't
No.
decide. We are human, yet we are parasites, yet we are cannibals, yet we can produce babies. Like, what the heck is going on here? And how frustrating that must be to be, what am I?
Yeah.
Like, where did I come from? Why do I exist? Shinichi thinks they are not of this world, so he thinks they're aliens. And Mr. A is done.
Yeah, he's just like, had enough!
He's like, I don't need to know what I am. I'm done. I'm going to eat.
And his face is slowly twitching, and I'm like, dude, keep it together! Like, you're going to give the game away so easily.
Yep. He says that when he's hungry, he will eat, and he will get rid of anyone who gets in his way. Well, guess who's now in his way? Mr. A concludes to himself that he must get rid of Miggy. So Miggy is a little sod to him, and he doesn't want to deal with it because he thinks that Miggy's going to give things away, and it's like, hold on, mate, you're the one with the opposite facing eyes, you're the one going around with the twitchy head. Like, if anyone's going to give anything away.
Yeah, exactly. You're not subtle, and you're not hiding well.
No, exactly. Tamiya tells Shinichi if he were to try anything to expose her, an entire class of students would be dead in seconds. Poor Shinichi. It's like, you got Miggy who's like, don't tell anyone or I'll kill everyone. And you got this woman who's saying, don't tell anyone or I'll kill everyone. It's like, hasn't really got an option. Murano flashes into Shinichi's mind, so that's obviously the person he cares the most about. Not his best friend Yuko. Not his mum and dad. I know she says class, but still.
Yeah.
Like, if you hear that people are going to die that you care about.
Yeah, and it is like she is the homeroom teacher of Murano, so she's probably the first person that's going to die.
That's true. At home, Miggy points out how scared Shinichi was, and he puts Miggy under cold tap. So every time Miggy says something that Shinichi doesn't like, he does the cold tap torture. So is it torture or is it just to shut him up?
I think it's just to shut him up because he doesn't like being cold. Because why would you, really? No one likes being cold. And it's just like, I can't deal with you. Under the tap you go.
But it's like he's waterboarding.
I know, yeah. It's like, but he doesn't quite see, like, he's also grey area by treating Miggy like something he can go, I don't know what you're saying. Yeah. It's just like, yeah. It's like, wait a minute, that's not actually that moralistic yourself. You're saying parasites are being horrible to humans, but you're a human being horrible to a parasite because you don't like what it's saying.
Exactly. So, it's not nice. In class, Miggy senses something is there with intent to kill. Tamiya also senses it. So this ain't good, because at first you think, maybe it's Tamiya, maybe she's starting to get a bit, like, hungry. But then when you see
or maybe she breaks the chalk, because I can feel evil intention. Wow, she's upset about breaking that chalk! That was her best chalk.
She loved that chalk. But no, it's not her, because she can just sense something else as well. And Miggy can tell it's Mr. A.
Yep.
Mr. A enters the school and starts to... Now, I don't think he kills anyone, does he? It's more he really wounds people.
Yeah, he pretty much batters them and knocks them out, but he doesn't kill anybody.
No. Creepy parasite transformation! And he's... Yeah, because he is actually using his head to kill people, but I think it's so quick that people just don't realise what's happening.
Yeah.
That's how I feel, because otherwise they'd be all like, oh, what the hell is that?
Yeah, they just get knocked out, and someone finds them, and someone else gets knocked out. So no one's actually seen his creepy transformation, because they're all too busy being unconscious.
Well, Miggy can sense all the people that he's hurting, so it's like, oh, there's 3 down. Oh, there's another one. So she's just like, what are you talking about? The school is being evacuated. And Tamiya is gone. She's legged it. She's gone, I'm out of here. But Miggy thinks that she wants to watch their inevitable fight from a safe distance. Because obviously Mr. A has come for Miggy. And she doesn't want to get involved. So it's like, well, I'll just go over here and see what happens. Because she's, as she said, she's trying to collect data on them. So she wants to find out how they fight and how they think. Miggy makes a plan. As Mr. A doesn't care if he's seen... They need to finish him ASAP because he's just kind of wandering around the school hurting people. The plan is, while Mr. A slashes about hurting or killing people, trying to find them, Miggy will surprise attack, killing him swiftly. Miggy calls everyone a wall of flesh.
No, charming, Miggy, charming. What a lovely plan.
Well, this reminds Shinichi of what Miggy is. It's
Yeah.
like you are willing to use all these people to make sure that you are safe. And Miggy has been upfront about that. He said, if anyone tries to hurt me, I will. It doesn't matter who else gets hurt, as long as I'm okay, I'm gonna do it. So, you know, you can't really blame Miggy. He's very honest.
He at least he actually lays all the facts and the truths out there. He's not manipulative. He's just like, I'm just trying to stay alive.
Well, they don't really have any other want at this point that other than to stay alive, because that's kind of the instinct of animals in some ways.
Yeah.
You know, some animals, it's just, I have to stay alive. And that's kind of what they're experiencing. Shinichi runs off to get away from the crowd, which confuses Miggy, as he believes you use others to protect yourself. So he's just like, did you not like my plan?
I like how he says it. That whole like, oh, do you not like it? Like he just doesn't get why he ran away. It's like, well, okay, fine. You think of a better plan.
Shinichi says, although Miggy speaks good Japanese, he still doesn't understand humans, which I think is quite a good line.
Yeah.
Because it's like, though we speak the same language, you still don't understand what a human is. And yeah, I just really like that line. And then Miggy starts to question about suicide. He's saying, like, you humans are complicated because you talk about staying alive, and yet there's some humans that want to commit suicide. You look confused.
No, I'm just...
Okay. I was like, did you not get that?
No. Sorry. I think it's more that I'm annoyed with this piece of hair that I keep poking it back here.
Oh,
and it keeps drifting into my eyeball. So I'm like, but I don't want to keep doing this because...
Yeah, no, I've got this bit here. Yeah.
And I'm just like, sorry, I was staring at that piece of hair.
Right, it just looked like you were like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
No, I was being aggro at my hair, but trying to be subtle about it. I failed.
Shinichi says it's not that people want to die. And I'm not going to get into it in this because it's a very complicated subject to talk about. But yes, a lot of emotion is involved with that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And that's why Miggy doesn't understand. But again, I'm not going to go too much into it. Shinichi makes his own plan of a desk barricade. He's like, look, I can make a barricade.
Yeah.
You don't need people. You don't need fleshy parts to stop.
You can make a wall of
people.
tables.
Yeah. Shinichi says he is different from Mr. A, as Mr. A is one, but with Miggy, they are two. Miggy informs Shinichi, Mr. A doesn't see them as a separate identity. So as Miggy and Mr. A are equally matched, Shinichi needs to join in the fight.
It's like, oh, shit.
Yeah, it's not really what you want to hear, is
No.
it?
It's like, I don't want to battle one of those things. God, no.
But if they work together and stay calm, they will win. Mr. A arrives through a window.
It's better. They build this barricade. He gets a table legs. He's got his weapon. He's like, no, we're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. There's a barricade around me. And then Mickey's like, he's here. And he's like, huh? What? Underneath. And he just like goes, aha! And just flies through the window instead. So the poor barricade meant nothing.
Yeah, Mr. A says that he's trapped in by his own barricade. So he's kind of made a little battle arena of anything.
Yes. He's like, oh dear, that's not good.
And then credits.
Yep.
So if this wasn't on Netflix, you'd have to wait a whole week to find out how this happened. And it's like, oh no.
Yes. And how I originally watched it was like that, going, oh God, what's going to happen next? I can't do this weekly.
Well, we don't have to anymore.
Yay.
We can move straight on to episode 4, Tangled Hair. I'm trying to remember the episode to try and think of why this would be called Tangled Hair.
Ryoko's hair.
Oh, okay, right. Yep, gotcha. So this episode starts where it left off, and Miggy is a badass.
Yep.
We get a flashback of Miggy explaining the plan. So before it was just Miggy saying, hey, we've got a plan. And then we don't know what the plan is. But now we go back and it's like, this is the plan. He will look as though he is attacking, but in fact, he is defending. Shinichi asks, then who will attack? Now, on the sub, it says, you will, of course. But on the dub, I kind of it goes, Shinichi. Like, what do you think?
Like, durr.
Bruh. As Mr. A doesn't think Shinichi is a threat, he will not expect him to attack. So he just thinks he's a puny human who's too scared to attack a big, vicious parasite. Yep. But this is where Shinichi has to grow some balls and get involved. Shinichi trusts Miggy to protect him and swiftly stabs Mr. A.
Yep.
They watch as Mr. A staggers. And it's just this gross thing of he's got the chair leg in him, and then the end of the chair leg pops out and all his blood spurts out forth.
He's like, oh, he's made a spout.
Basically, so it's like all flying at him really quickly. And they watch as he staggers around a corner. Oh, but he closes off the artery because he says it was really close to his heart, important heart artery. So he just stabs the chair all the way through him, which kind of stops the bleeding, but obviously internally, bad things will be happening.
He's no longer acting as a spout, but there's still lots of bleeding happening.
So yeah, he goes to stagger off, and Miggy is like, "We must finish him," and Shinji and Shinichi says, "No, because if I finish him, I'll be a murderer." And it's kind of like, well, if you leave him, he'll bleed out, and that will still make you a murderer.
Yeah, exactly. You're not. Yeah, he either dies of natural causes and you kills him, or you finish him off before he might kill someone that's hiding in a classroom.
Because I'm not sure at this point they are expecting him to change host. I don't think that would cross their mind right now. Well, anyway, they let him go. And Mr. A concludes that he needs to relocate and decides that he's going to share Tamiya's host. And do we think Tamiya's going to let that happen?
No, Ryoko's not really the sharing type, I don't think.
Well, it's like, yeah, derpy boy, I'm really going to let you into my body and ruin everything. Yeah, okay. Well, I think she can sense his intent because he finds her in the science lab and she set a trap for him of like opened oxygen canisters, and she jumps out the window and then kaboom!
Yep.
He dead.
Mr. A is dead. Goodbye, Mr. A. There we go. Sorry, a bit of who's is there.
But that means the father of her child is gone, so she's now a single parent.
Well, he was the greatest choice for, fatherhood. Can you imagine, parent teachers? This is my husband, Mr. Wonky Eye. And sorry about the nervous tick, the fangs.
So his head keeps twitching open.
Yeah.
He has I don't know. He's got a
parasite.
Basically. He's got allergies. Back at home, Shinichi's parents are worried as he won't get out of bed. And you can kind of give Shinichi this one because he has just stabbed a man. How often do you stab someone? It's...
No.
You don't. Well, hopefully you don't.
No. It's not every day you stab someone with a chair leg, No,
and this poor boy, he's lived a pretty normal life, it would seem, and all of a sudden he's fighting parasites and stabbing people, and yeah, his life's a bit turned upside down at the moment, and he needs to kind of come to terms with this is going to be it for a little while. Time passes, and Shinichi tells us things have settled back to normal, and he suspects it was Tamiya who killed Mr. A, but she's acting as if nothing has happened. Well, Shinichi, she's trying to blend in. Of course she's going to pretend. What's she supposed to do?
Yeah,
walk around going,
I blew up that man that came into school. I'm a murderer. No.
Exactly. She's obviously going to pretend. Though he hasn't heard of any killings in her area, he still suspects that she is doing the killings somewhere. She has to be getting nutrients somewhere. So whether she's going outside or she's inviting people over who don't know her or whatever, she's got to be still getting her food. The teachers have a meeting about Tamiya's baby. They are not happy that she's unmarried and she won't reveal who the father is or if she even knows who he is.
Yeah.
She obviously does.
Single mothers are really looked down on in Japan, especially if you're unmarried. Most of the time you're ostracized from society or sent to a mental institute for being a single mother, an unwed single mother, because they just don't like them in society. She'd probably end up getting fired. They wouldn't want her because she'd be seen as a bad influence in front of the young people and someone who's made bad life decisions. So that meeting was probably up them were going to fire her.
Well, she jumps in before they can, and she said, "Well, this is sad. I'm sad. This is how it's going to end. Bye-bye." She gets up and goes, and they're like, "Tamiya," and she just legs it. She's like, "No, I'm going. Bye." She leaves with her dignity.
Yeah.
But then she says that it's time to leave the body as well. I can't remember how she worded it, but she's basically saying.
No, she says it's time. She's in the subs. I'm pretty sure she says it's time to leave Ryoko Tamiya behind.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah, so I kind of assume that's that life behind, and she's going to forge into a new life.
Oh, okay, because I took it as she's going to change hosts. But interpretation. Tamiya meets with Shinichi to inform him that Tamiya is no more. So that kind of indicates. And therefore, everyone that knows her is no more, and that includes him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh dear. Shinichi questions why she kills when Miggy can survive by the food they eat. And Tamiya says, like most living things, she's following a directive, but humans don't have a directive. True.
Yeah. It's that instinct thing, isn't it? It's that there's a higher force in the animal kingdom that gives their drive to do what they do.
Sleep, 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 eat, mate, 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 sleep, 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 eat, run away.
Yeah.
Tamiya says that as soon as she took over the body, she received a directive to devour the species. Now, that's a pretty strong directive and pretty straightforward. But why? It's like, why would...
We don't know. We have to find out.
I know. It's...
But it's hard to go against your, primal directive. It's like, oh, you can live off the things. It's like, no, but every aspect of who she is telling her that she has to eat people.
And this is why I kind of got the feeling of this is more man-made rather than extraterrestrial, because there's a directive involved. And I don't know, but that's I'm getting lab feelings. Shinichi asks what she would do with the baby, and she says she would use it for experiments, but if it's useless, it's food. It's just like, no, the baby.
I know. It's like, oh dear. Yeah, no, Ryoko doesn't have her maternal instinct yet.
No. Or if she ever will.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people say not a lot of people, but some people say that until the baby is born, they don't feel things towards it because it's just outside our mind sort of thing. Like mothers, it's kind of different because you're experiencing the baby growing, whereas sometimes the father or whoever's not involved with the actual pregnancy don't feel it until that baby is there. It's different for everyone. Some people get it straight away and others don't. And it could be the same for Tamiya. It could be that she feels nothing for this baby. She just sees it as an experiment on food. But when it's born, she might have completely different feelings towards it. But
it's also really interesting comparison of the fact that to her, this baby is the parasite because it's living off her body, absorbing the nutrients. So
yeah, that is interesting. Full circle. Tamiya realizes that Shinichi will be trouble. So in the sub, she says, die. In the dub, she says, goodbye. Creepy parasite transformation.
I love her parasite transformation.
She does look a bit sexier than the other ones, I have to say. Compared to the others, peely orange peel head.
Yeah.
And she's got this weird, blade gill type thing going on. And it looks a little bit better than what the men have currently been experiencing.
She's definitely the most, evolved of any of the parasites we've seen so far.
Tamiya finds Shinichi and Miggy are conjoined and decides not to kill them after all. And she leaves. And I think she just finds this too interesting to get rid of too soon. She's confused by them. She's intrigued by them. And it's like, you know what? I need to know more sort of thing. So she leaves them. At Tamiya's house, the real Tamiya's mother arrives. She can tell that this is not her daughter and tries to call the police. So Tamiya is confused about how her mother could tell that it wasn't her.
Yeah.
Lack of emotion. Okay.
Yep.
You have no emotion, woman. So Tamiya before could have been outgoing and bubbly and funny, or she could have been shy and bit more restrained or whatever, but whatever it is, there is an emotion there.
Yeah,
there is something to make that person who they are. And if you're just like a robot type of person who has no emotions and has no feelings and you have no facial expressions, it's kind of obvious that you're not feeling yourself.
Yes, there's also the added notion that goes for Ryoko's mother and Shinichi's mothers of a mother knows. Mother's instinct, which obviously will come into play during the course of Ryoko's storyline. But, a mother knows. Ryoko doesn't quite understand yet what that connection is.
But she might get it when she has the baby. It's going to be quite the experience for her, I think. Shinichi wakes to find his arm is gone. From the elbow down, it's gone. And he's like, what is this? And Miggy has found a way to unattach himself and turn into a creepy flesh puppy.
Yeah, I know, it's gross, isn't it? Ba-bounding, ba-bounding, ba-bounding. Certainly you're not cute. No,
That is not
I'm not
cute
going to
at all.
have a plush of that. No.
No, that's not going to be the greatest of cuddly toys.
The
I
Miggy
do not want
plush.
to snuggle. I don't want to snuggle with that. No. Shinichi screams, which brings Miggy back to his arm, but then Mum walks in, and once again he looks like he's masturbating. His poor boy. Everyone just keeps walking in on him, having hand trouble. He's going to get the reputation of a sexual deviant, I think.
Uncontrollable, like, masturbation going on. Like, stop talking to and playing with your penis.
Miggy tells Shinichi that he can separate for about 3 minutes. This has led to the realization that other parasites could move from head to head, but Miggy says there is a chance of rejection, so he doubts anyone would try this. But then there are those parasites who aren't quite as developed and are still figuring things out, so they're probably going to try. And I have a feeling that it is going to happen, because why mention it if they're not going to try it? The parents tell Shinichi they are going on vacation without him, as the mincemeat murders have stopped, and I'm putting that in commas, stopped, or at least no one's heard anything for a while. Shinichi doesn't want them to go, and Mum is concerned he's hiding something. Of course. I mean, Mum is such a mum to Shinichi.
Yeah.
Like, she obviously loves him very much, and he's her world. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of convenient that he's at that age where boys do keep secrets and things, because, especially from their mothers, because you're a boy and your mum's a woman, and it's kind of awkward to talk about that kind of stuff. But yeah, Mum doesn't like it. Shinichi goes for a walk, and he knows that if he was to tell his parents, that Miggy would kill them. So he knows that he has to keep the secret to keep them safe. But whenever he has these internal monologues, like, surely Miggy would be hearing these thoughts he's having.
I don't know. I don't really know how if thoughts can be heard by a parasite living in you. It's just not something I've really thought about.
Well, I was just thinking, because like Miggy can sense a lot of things.
But I think Miggy can sense things through, because it can't. I don't think they can hear each other's thoughts because they are separate brains. It's just Miggy can sense things due to chemical reactions within Shinichi's body.
The parents are talking, and Dad wonders if Shinichi is acting strange because of the scar on the mother's hand. And she's like, but that's so long ago. And then we get a flashback to what happened. And the flashback is that Mum was cooking something, and Shinichi wanted an aluminium plate from off the top of the fridge. He gets on a chair, tries to get it. He falls off, smacks his head, which causes the oil on the stove to fall. And just before it hits him, she grabs it, burning all of her arm, which is what a mother does. Yeah. And she didn't even realize she hurt herself, because all she cared about was Shinichi. And it's just another proof of how much she loves him.
She's such a good mum.
To be fair, I think most mothers would do that, put themselves in danger to stop their child from being hurt. So
yeah, being scarred for life by boiling oil.
Yeah, but yeah, the fact she didn't even she holds her hand, but she doesn't do anything about it until Dad comes in casually and is like, "What happened to your arm?"
And she's like, "Oh!"
And he's like, "It's your fault."
Yeah, I do like he donks him on the head, and Shinichi's like, "Ow!" It's like, your mum's hurting worse.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. I just love how calm Dad is. I mean, like, normally your partner would come and go, "Oh my God, let's get you to the hospital," and Dad's just like, chill. He's just like, you're fine, you'll sort it. You're a capable woman. Later, Miggy does some research on guns. He's just sat there with a gun in his hand, looking at a phone with a gun on it. He's just like, hey, guns.
I could be a gun too. He's trying to, obviously, like, a bit of self-defense techniques. If, like, someone ever threatens, he's like, he could turn his hand, he's like, I have a gun now. No one's going to mess with Shinichi with a gun. Even though, what's he going to shoot? Like, his eyeball bullet? I don't know.
They talk about the parents' trip, reasoning that most attacks happen in the city or when people are alone. So as long as they are in the countryside together, they should be okay. And it's kind of nice that Miggy's reassuring Shinichi and like saying, let them go, it's fine.
Yeah, it's like parasites prefer metropolic areas because there's more food than if they're wandering around the country. Because then, you know, one death in a little country town, everyone will be like, okay, it can only be one of us. In the city, it's just like, whoa.
It could be anyone. Mum walks in confused as her son is talking to himself. And he yells at her for not knocking. He's like, get out. I mean, to be fair, he's a teenage boy.
Yeah.
He should knock. Mum is concerned that her son yelled at her. And Dad puts it down to masturbation.
I like the look on her face, and she's just like, oh. Oh, yes. Teenage boys do that.
Oh. Shinichi talks to the parents about the trip, saying that it's okay, but now Mum is very concerned because she was like, this morning you didn't want us to go and you're really worried. Now you're okay about it. What is wrong with you? Why are the mood swings? So she's really just not happy. Mum thinks that she's losing her son, so Shinichi tries to explain himself calmly. And to be fair, he comes up with quite a good reason.
Yeah.
I mean, what is it he says? He says that he was just worried about them.
And then he was worried about being lonely, which makes him sound like her little boy again. And so Mum's like, oh, he loves me. He didn't want to be without me. So it's kind of like putting it back in her court with like where the like emotions are. Because she's pretty distraught at the moment because she feels like, her son won't talk to her.
Mum and Dad leave. They go. Bye-bye. And then we have a shot of Tamiya holding her belly and looking over the city.
Yeah.
And it's things to come. The future.
She goes, I felt it move. It's the baby's move.
I don't know if we had that in the dub.
Did you not? Yeah, she said, she puts her hand and she goes, oh, it moves.
Maybe it did. Maybe I just didn't watch it. But yes. And then that's the end of that episode.
Dum, dum, dum.
Now, here's my concern.
Oh.
So, in the beginning credits, I'm pretty sure we see Shinichi's mum, and she gets the 3 things in her head as if she is a parasite. Now, Mum is going away. Can't do your way out of this. Let me do my theory, okay? So Mum seems to be turning into a parasite in the opening credits. Mum has gone away. Tamiya, it would seem, would want a new host. And she also wants to keep a close eye on Migi and study his relationship with Shinichi. And now they're saying that it is possible to change heads. So, just for listeners, Lizzie is looking around, not making eye contact with me, and I'm onto something.
I'm just not going to tell you anything because I don't want to tell you things that are going to happen.
That's fine, but I'm just letting you know my theory and what
That's
I've
a theory.
noticed.
Lovely theory.
Yes, exactly. Oh, not all my theories are right.
No,
but I've
you
just
could have a
noticed
theory.
these things.
Yeah, I have a theory. Okay, now I've got the Buffy musical in my head.
But yeah, so that's the end of that episode.
Yes.
And something's going to happen to Mum. No! Do you have anything else to add to this?
No.
That's what I just said, just in general.
No, I've covered all my points.
Okay. All right, well. So this season of anime, we are doing my happy moments. We're going to do something that makes us happy because this is not a very happy series, and it makes me sad.
And every other word is cannibal in one episode, and in the other episode they're going to go, I'm going to eat my baby. So, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So let's do Sagira's happy moment. Lizzie, what happy moment have you had this week? Or last week, or recently?
I mean, it was my birthday. I ate a curry. It was really tasty. That made me happy.
What curry did you have?
I had a chicken pasanda with,
nice.
paratha and onion bhaji.
When was the last time you had a curry? Like that?
Oh, months ago.
Yeah, exactly. So, very happy curry.
Yes, birthday curry was it was beautiful. It tasted everything I wanted it to taste. And I didn't react too badly. So I was like, yay, they don't hurt me.
My happy moment is, it was also my birthday. And it was just really lovely to have all family and friends after all this going on, not being able to see anyone, just them all saying happy birthday and remembering and sending gifts and cards and messages. And it was just really nice just to reconnect with some people. So that made me happy. So yeah, happy moments. We need a theme tune or a jingle or something.
Yeah, did you think of a jingle for it?
Sagira's happy moments with Lizzie.
Yay.
Okay. Social media.
Okay, so social media, I think this week I will go with, I'm going to be A weird flesh puppy, the world's most ugliest plush toy, is going to introduce my social media. Watch it gallop and sprout. Well, probably sprout some appendages and eyeballs. Whee! There we go. So happy social media with the new mascot, Flesh Puppy.
Ooh, so pretty.
Can't wait to buy that toy.
My social media is coming in on spilled oil. Social media. That's all I can think of.
I know. Yeah.
Parasyte doesn't really offer many social media moments.
No, it doesn't. Not well, many moments that you kind of like coming on mincemeat and like, you know, eating babies on that corpse, like on a blood fountain. It's not the most happiest of like, you know.
No, we're gonna have to watch it. As soon as we see something that's social media related, we write it down and like,
Yes.
that's it. That's the thing.
Yeah, that one. That's the one scene in there.
It's gonna be some really random things like the chalk that she broke.
Yeah.
gonna be broken chalk.
Beautiful. Oh, right.
Say goodbye, Lizzie.
So for now, this is a Weeaboo saying Johnny.
And this is a newbie saying ugly plush toy thing. Bow, 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 bow. I'm a fleshy puppy thing. Bow, bow, bow.
Gross.